6 eerie reasons we're afraid of the dark. Number 1. Your primal brain's paranoia. You, a perfectly rational adult, are standing in the middle of your living room. The lights are on, you're scrolling through TikTok, and everything is fine. But the second you flick that switch and plunge the room into darkness, something ancient and very, very dumb happens deep inside your brain. It's not your fault. You're not a scaredy cat. This is your primal brain, a remnant from a time when your ancestors were basically human-sized snacks. Back then, night wasn't just a time for sleep, it was a menu for every saber-toothed tiger, bear, and opportunistic predator with night vision. Your ancestors didn't have flashlights, security systems, or the comforting hum of a refrigerator. Their survival depended on a healthy, active paranoia that translated to, if I can't see it, it's probably trying to eat me. This isn't a fear of the dark itself, but a fear of the unknown that the dark represents. It's a beautifully simple, deeply unsettling truth. Your brain is essentially a vintage computer running an ancient program that says, warning, low visibility, assume immediate danger from all sides. So when you feel that weird, cold dread creep up your spine, it's just your old school survival instincts waking up and yelling, hey, remember all those things that used to want to kill us? They're probably right there, in that shadowy corner. Number 2. The brain's shadow puppet theater. Have you ever been staring into the dark, and suddenly, a pile of clothes on a chair transforms into a looming figure? Or the shadows of tree branches against the curtains start to look like skeletal hands? That, my friends, is your brain playing a cruel, unsolicited game of shadow puppets with your sanity. The scientific term for this little trick is pareidolia, which is the psychological phenomenon of seeing patterns, often faces, in random or ambiguous stimuli. In the daytime, this might mean seeing a face in a cloud or a sad-looking front on a car. It's a fun, quirky little glitch, but at night, in the absence of real visual information, your brain gets desperate. It starts to fill in the blanks, turning the most innocuous objects into potential threats. It takes those vague, blurry shapes and, with a terrifying artistic flair, renders them into monsters, murderers, or anything else your mind has ever seen in a horror movie. It's a survival mechanism gone haywire, your brain's pattern recognition system working in overdrive to identify a threat that isn't there. Simply because it's so much more terrifying to see a monster than to see nothing at all. Basically, your brain is a badass detective that gets really bored and starts fabricating evidence against your laundry pile. Number 3. The echo chamber of your mind. Let's talk about sound, or more specifically, how your brain processes sound when it has absolutely no visual cues to back it up. In the daytime, if you hear a creak, you might glance over and see a floorboard settling or a pipe in the wall making a noise. Case closed. At night, in the dark, that same sound is a completely different story. Without the ability to see the source, your brain's creative narrative department goes into overdrive. A creak isn't just a creak, it's a footstep. A pipe isn't just a pipe, it's a low moan. The house settling? Nope. That's definitely a ghost dragging its chains across the attic floor. Your brain, with its lack of visual input, has no choice but to fill in the blanks. And it always defaults to the most threatening possible scenario. It's a self-feeding loop. You hear a sound. You can't see what made it. Your brain invents a terrifying explanation, and your fear level skyrockets. Now, because you're on high alert, you're more likely to notice the next tiny, insignificant sound and repeat the entire process. It's an auditory echo chamber where your own fear bounces off the walls, making every whisper of a breeze sound like an impending threat. Number 4. The melatonin double cross. You know that feeling when you're trying to stay up past your bedtime, but your brain starts turning into a sluggish, fuzzy mess? That's melatonin, the hormone your body releases as part of its charming little evening ritual to help you sleep. But here's the cosmic punchline. The very chemical designed to make you drift off to dreamland also makes you a prime target for your own imagination. Melatonin doesn't just make you sleepy, it starts to dim the lights on your prefrontal cortex, the part of your brain responsible for rational thought, logic, and figuring out that the coat on the chair is, in fact, just a coat. So, as you're trying to navigate the dark, the part of your brain that would normally say, hey, calm down, It's just the cat is basically clocked out for the night, leaving the front door wide open for your primordial, fear-mongering brain. It's a physiological double cross. Your body says, "Here, have some sleepy juice," and what it's really giving you is a mild cognitive impairment that makes every little creak, every shadow, and every stray thought about a horror movie 1,000 times more potent. Melatonin isn't just a sleep aid, it's a silent partner in your fear, actively working to make you less capable of reasoning your way out of a good old-fashioned scare. Number 5. Your eyes' motion detectors. Our eyes are incredible pieces of organic technology, but they have a fatal design flaw in the dark. You see, our retinas are packed with two types of light-sensitive cells, cones, which handle color and fine detail, and rods, which are better at detecting movement and low light. When the lights go out, your cones go on vacation, and your rods take over. This is great for spotting a predator rustling in the bushes 100,000 years ago. But it's absolutely terrible for navigating a modern, dimly lit hallway. Your peripheral vision, which is dominated by rods, becomes hypersensitive to any hint of movement. This is why you often feel like you've caught a glimpse of something out of the corner of your eye, a fleeting shadow, a shimmer of light from the street, or even a tiny dust mote floating through the air. Your central vision, however, is a blurry, useless mess, so your brain gets a distress call from your peripheral vision about movement. But your central vision can't confirm it. This conflict sends your nervous system into high alert. The result is a creeping sensation that something is there, just beyond your direct line of sight, always moving just as you turn your head. It's a classic evolutionary holdover. Your eyes are specifically designed to keep you safe from sneaky predators, but now they're just making you paranoid about your own houseplants. Number 6. The cultural fear catalog. You think you're scared of the dark on your own, but you're not. You're scared of the dark with a massive, terrifying assist from pop culture. Think about it. Every horror movie, every urban legend, every campfire story you've ever consumed has created a meticulously curated fear catalog inside your brain. We're talking about ghosts in the closet, monsters under the bed, serial killers lurking in the shadows. Your brain, with its ancient survival wiring, doesn't know the difference between a movie and a real threat. So when you're standing in a pitch-black room, it doesn't just see an absence of light, it pulls up a highlight reel of every horrifying scene it's ever witnessed. It's like a Netflix binge of your worst nightmares, all playing out in the dark corners of your imagination. The fear of the dark, in the modern age, is a learned response, a cultural phenomenon we've all been conditioned to embrace. We've replaced the fear of real predators with the fear of fictional ones, making the dark a terrifying stage for our collective anxieties. That's all for today. I'll be making similar videos in the future. Subscribe to see them.